Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going deep on Elon Musk. Tesla, SpaceX, the whole deal.
Oh, yeah. He's everywhere these days. Hard to avoid him, really.
Exactly. And you've sent us so much on him, a biography, articles, even your own notes. So,
Well, he's a fascinating figure, isn't he? Love him or hate him, you gotta admit, he's doing things.
no doubt. So, is he a genius? Just a really good showman?
Or maybe a bit of both.
Right. That's what we're trying to figure out in this deep dive.
It's interesting, when you really dig into the material, you see how much of his personality is just imprinted on his companies.
You mean like that drive, that ambition?
Exactly. That relentless pursuit of progress, that almost obsessive need to push boundaries. It's woven into the DNA of SpaceX, Tesla, everything he touches.
Yeah.
It's a theme we'll see again and again.
And speaking of personality, the biography starts off with this, well, pretty revealing story about the author Ashley Vance trying to get Musk to even talk to him for the book.
Yeah, Vance had to chase him for months. It's classic Musk wanting to control the narrative, even down to the footnotes.
He actually wanted to add his own footnotes to the whole book.
That's right, 30-page footnotes in some cases.
Whoa. Talk about attention to detail.
Exactly. It's a scientist's mind, craving that precision.
Yeah.
And that trait, it's crucial to understanding his success, his failures, everything.
I mean, he even had a super specific food order for Vance, right? Like a crazy amount of food for just one person.
Yeah, the guy apparently eats like he's on a mission, barely takes a breath between bites. It's kind of funny, actually.
The book describes him demolishing a cotton candy sculpture at one point.
Yeah, that's a great image. But it reveals something, too, that childlike energy he has, even when he's discussing serious stuff like artificial intelligence.
And then after all that, at the end of this crazy dinner,
Yeah.
Musk just hits Vance with, "Do you think I'm insane?"
Oh, yeah, I remember that line. It's almost like he's daring Vance to psychoanalyze him.
Right. So is he insane? Or is that just part of being brilliant?
That's the core of it, isn't it? That paradox, brilliance, and, well, a touch of madness. They often go together.
Okay, so to figure out where all that comes from, let's rewind a bit. Take us back to the beginning. What was his childhood like?
Well, his childhood was difficult, lots of bullying, family issues. He was pretty isolated.
Makes sense that he'd retreat into books and computers.
Exactly. He found worlds where he could excel, And it's during those early years that his fascination with space travel really took hold, that dream of colonizing Mars.
It wasn't just some childhood fantasy, though, was it? It became SpaceX, didn't it?
Exactly. And that's important to remember. For Musk, Mars isn't just a business venture. It's a deeply held belief. He actually thinks humanity needs a backup plan.
Wow. So he finishes school, moves to the U.S., and just decides to start a rocket company in the middle of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. He basically just ignored how things were supposed to be done.
He wasn't just taking on Silicon Valley. He was challenging the entire aerospace industry.
Right. And at that time, it was all these giant, slow-moving contractors.
And he builds a whole rocket factory in L.A.
I know. Hundreds of people, welding machines, technicians in white coats. It was this mix of, blue-collar grit and Silicon Valley innovation. Amazing.
And she was totally hands-on, even back then.
Oh, absolutely. Musk was determined to control everything. Build the engines, write the software, everything in-house.
Right.
To cut costs and move faster, that vertical integration, it's key to how he does business. It's all about efficiency, ruthless efficiency.
Okay, but hold on. Before we blast off to Mars, let's talk about those first companies. Zip2, PayPal. Those weren't just about making money, right?
Not at all. They were learning experiences, crucial ones.
So Zip2, that was the online city guide thing.
Right. It taught him about partnerships, about adapting when the market changes, that kind of thing.
And PayPal, that's where the tougher side comes out.
He honed his entrepreneurial instincts there, that's for sure, navigating the online finance world. And yeah, he wasn't afraid to play hardball.
So he makes a fortune. And instead of, chilling on a beach, he goes all in on rockets and electric cars. Not exactly safe bets.
And that's the difference. He's not driven by money. It's about his vision. He's all in on sustainable energy, space exploration. He thinks they're essential for humanity's survival. And he's willing to risk it all. It's almost like he took that whole Silicon Valley thing, move fast and break things, and applied it to industries that hadn't changed in, decades.
And speaking of breaking things, let's talk about those early days at SpaceX. Remember that timeline Musk set for building their first rocket? I mean, it was
insane.
Oh, yeah.
First engine in May, second in June, full rocket by August, launch in November. all within 15 months.
He was crazy ambitious. Did he really think they could pull it off?
You know, to be honest, I think his naivete was showing a bit there. Building rockets, it's not like building software.
Who kidding? There were explosions, right? Like actual rockets blowing up.
Oh, yeah, those early Falcon 1 launches, they were rough.
Yeah.
Fires, engine malfunctions, it was a steep learning curve.
But through all of that, there was this energy, this sense that they were part of something revolutionary.
Absolutely. And that's what drew people in, those top engineers, young, ambitious. They wanted to be part of it, going to Mars, changing the world.
He was a great recruiter, huh? Must have been more than just the salary.
Oh, yeah. He offered them stock options, a chance to work on cutting-edge stuff, and, you know, that flat hierarchy, that Silicon Valley thing, it was appealing.
But still, those first 3 launches were failures. I mean, pretty spectacular ones. It must have been demoralizing.
It was crushing, actually, both financially and just emotionally. Musk poured millions of his own money into SpaceX, even sold personal stuff to keep it going.
That's dedication. But did he ever doubt himself? Ever think about giving up?
Well, if he did, he never showed it. After each failure, they went right back to work, analyzed the data, redesigned parts, learned from their mistakes.
That sounds familiar. That relentless iteration, refusing to quit. It's a pattern with him.
Definitely. And with the Falcon 1, it paid off. That 4th launch in 2008, they reached orbit.
First privately funded company to do so. That's huge.
It was a real validation of their whole approach. Suddenly, SpaceX was a serious player.
And then came the Dragon spacecraft, right, for carrying cargo to the International Space Station.
Right. And eventually, humans. Getting that NASA contract, that was a game changer.
Funding, credibility, it put them in a whole different league.
Exactly. But even then, Musk was already looking ahead. He was talking about launching rockets not just once a month, but multiple times a day, making space accessible for everyone, not just governments.
Wow. So from rockets to electric cars, Tesla, quite a journey there too.
Oh, yeah. The Roadster, that early one, sleek, sexy. He wanted to prove that electric cars could be cool, desirable.
But the production process was a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from what I read, it was constant delays, supply chain issues.
It was. And Musk's leadership style, well, it didn't exactly help. He's obsessed with every single detail, pushes everyone super hard.
He's also brilliant, right? I mean, the battery pack alone, they basically built it from scratch.
That's crazy. It was a radical approach, but it worked. The Roadster was a hit. It changed how people saw electric cars. But of course, Musk wasn't satisfied.
He wanted to go bigger, mass market.
Exactly. He wanted a car for everyone, affordable, practical. And that's where the Model S comes in.
The Model S, beautiful design, long range, that giant touchscreen. It was like a car from the future.
And don't forget those innovative features. The retractable door handles, the panoramic sunroof, the over-the-air software updates. It was a tech showcase as much as a car.
And it was a hit, too. Awards, great sales. Tesla became a real player in the auto industry, going up against the big guys, Mercedes, BMW.
But as always, there were challenges, production issues, money troubles, and, you know, the traditional car companies, they weren't just going to roll over.
So Musk doubled down. Of course he did.
Of course. He invested in that giant battery factory, expanded the charging network. He was thinking long-term, betting that Tesla could out-innovate everyone else.
And it seems like it's working. Tesla's huge, a cultural icon. People believe in his vision, that clean energy future.
Okay, so we've got rockets, we've got electric cars. What else? Oh, yeah, solar energy. Can't forget about Solar City.
Right. The company his cousins started. It's interesting because with Solar City, you see a different side of him. It's about more than just technology. It's about, well, saving the planet.
Absolutely. He saw solar as essential to getting off fossil fuels, fighting climate change, that kind of thing.
And typical Musk, he didn't just want to sell solar panels.
Nope. He offered these leasing programs, made it more affordable for people to get solar on their roofs.
Smart, taking advantage of government subsidies, tapping into that growing demand for clean energy.
Solar City grew like crazy, became a major force in the industry.
But was installing panels enough for him? I'm guessing not.
You know, Musk, he's always thinking bigger. He saw the potential of combining solar with battery storage.
Make the whole system more efficient, more resilient.
Right. And that led to the Powerwall. You know, that home battery system that can store solar energy for later.
Another step towards that decentralized, sustainable future he talks about.
Exactly. But of course, Solar City had its ups and downs too. Competition, regulations, the solar market itself can be pretty unpredictable.
So what did Musk do? Probably something bold.
He bought a solar panel manufacturer, Solevo, and then built a massive solar panel factory in New York.
Wow. Control the cost, make sure he's got a steady supply, classic vertical integration.
Solar City became this vertically integrated energy company, making panels, installing them, managing the whole system. Another example of Musk disrupting an industry, pushing for a sustainable future.
So we've talked about rockets, electric cars, solar energy. It's a lot. But there's some common threads, right? Ambition, drive, that unshakable belief in his vision.
He's not just a businessman or an engineer. He's, I don't know, a force of nature, disrupting industries, pushing boundaries.
We still haven't really answered the big question. Is he insane? Or is he just playing at a different level than the rest of us?
To figure that out, we got to get into his personality, his leadership style, his impact on the whole tech world. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so let's get a bit more personal. Elon Musk, genius, tyrant, or somewhere in between. What's he actually like to work with?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The book didn't sugarcoat it. It paints a pretty intense picture. Like, 80-hour work weeks are just normal.
Yeah, I read about that. Sleeping under his desk, sending emails at 3 a.m.
The pressure's relentless. The level of intensity, most people wouldn't last a week.
There are stories of him just, berating engineers who don't meet his standards.
Yeah.
Not exactly healthy.
He can be demanding, absolutely. Abrasive, even. Unrealistic deadlines, micromanaging. He expects total dedication to the mission. Like, everyone has to be as obsessed as he is.
But then you also hear about this incredible magnetism he has. People pushing themselves beyond their limits because they believe in what they're doing.
It's kind of a paradox. Even his harshest critics, they admit he's brilliant.
They might hate his methods, but they can't deny the results, right?
Exactly. He takes these impossible ideas and somehow he makes them happen.
So what is he? Visionary leader? Ruthless tyrant?
I think it's more complicated than that. The truth is somewhere in the middle.
There's a story in the biography that stuck with me. Musk visits an orphanage in Haiti, brings toys, laptops, teaches the kids about rockets.
I remember that. It's a side of him you don't see very often.
It shows that there's more to him than just, money or fame. He believes in this stuff. He wants to make a difference.
He thinks his work, whether it's electric cars or space travel, can actually change the world.
So zooming out a bit,
Yeah.
what's his legacy? How has he shaped the tech world?
That's a great question. And actually, the materials you sent have some different perspectives on this. Tyler Cowen, the economist, he's pretty skeptical of Musk.
He thinks it's all hype.
Well, he says Musk is more showman than innovator. That his companies are impressive, but they're not really pushing the boundaries of technology.
He even says the whole Mars thing is more about ego than practicality.
Yeah, and that the Hyperloop is a publicity stunt.
Ouch.
Hmm.
That's pretty harsh. But you also sent us that piece by Tony Fadell, right? The guy who helped create the iPod and iPhone.
Yeah, Fidel sees Musk as a true visionary. He says Musk's brilliance is in connecting software and hardware, building products that are both high-tech and beautifully designed.
He points to the Model S, that touchscreen, the software updates. Like Musk brought Silicon Valley thinking to the car industry.
And you see it with SpaceX, too, using off-the-shelf components, streamlining operations, driving down costs.
So who's right? Hype or substance?
Honestly, it's probably a bit of both. He's a master at PR, no doubt.
Yeah.
But there's real substance, too. He's building companies that are changing things, challenging the way things have always been done.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What should they be thinking about after this whole deep dive into Elon Musk?
Well, I think the key thing is he's complicated. Brilliant, ambitious, driven, and yeah, sometimes ruthless. But he's also a dreamer. Someone who believes technology can solve big problems. You can love him, you can hate him, but you can't ignore him. He's shaping the future, that's for sure.
I think that's a great point to end on. Love him, hate him. He definitely makes you think. So what stands out to YU after this deep dive? We've explored his wins, his losses, his unique leadership style, but imagine a world where more CEOs were like him, focused on innovation, sustainability. Would it be amazing progress, or would it be a little too much power concentrated in a few hands? Something to think about. Until next time, keep diving.